Hey, this is Richard with Salt Strong, and today I'm going to be doing a review on a lure that I started using recently and have really liked, and that's going to be the MirrOlure MirrOminnow. Now they also make kind of a micro or mini minnow. That is not this one. This is the one step up from that, kind of your standard size. So just going over the looks real quick of this lure, immediately what I think about is finger mullet, which where I fish here in the Southeast is a huge bait source, especially for trout, redfish, and flounder. So this immediately looks like that. It's got a really good silhouette. I kind of like the pencil shape as well, almost a little bit even more than like your MR17s or something that's got more of a kind of pogey or menhaden look. So I really like this shape. And again, you can see it's got a really good kind of bi-color tone to it. There's a lot of mullet that have black backs where I'm at, so I ended up going with the black back. The green would probably work just as well. I don't think the fish care too much, but I do like a good contrast. And the belly's got a really nice kind of, prismy, flash to it, which we'll get to a little bit later, why I think that's so good too. But looks really good, got the standard MirrOlure eyes. So let's go ahead and get to the function of this lure. So guys, I used this lure recently and I caught a ton of trout on it. And what's really cool about it is it doesn't really have a lot of movement unless you impart movement on it. So what I mean by that is, like a lot of your other standard MirrOlures and things like that, after you move it and kind of let it stay still, if it sinks or suspends, a lot of times these lures will have a little bit of a wobble or things like that as they go down. But this one doesn't have it. This one, I mean, if you do a quick rod twitch or something like that, it has an awesome action where it just does a quick flash, just like that, that kind of wounded pattern, but it doesn't do anything after that. As soon as you're done, it just goes back straight. And I mean, it's motionless, which at first I wasn't so sure about, but eventually what I learned, and I've learned this kind of over time as well, sometimes your spooky or more finicky fish, they don't like things that have a lot of vibration. So I started, learning this with soft plastics, where I wasn't really catching a lot on paddle tails or things that were throwing off a lot of vibration, but I would start throwing, say like a jerk shad or something like that, and just having a solid kind of mass moving through the water would be really effective. And you'll see in some of the catch footage in a minute kind of how I was working this lure, but basically what I would do is give it a quick twitch and just a flash, and you'd get that kind of wounded pattern. But then whenever it was staying still, I would not get any bites. They would not touch it. But as soon as it started moving, they would hit it almost every single time. Now, when you start reeling this kind of a slow roll, it looks exactly like this going through the water. There's no wobble, there's no any weird movement. I mean, it's almost just motionless, kind of like a little missile going through the water. And for some reason, those fish couldn't get enough of it whenever I did that. So whenever you get a chance to kind of mess around with techniques, definitely try that one, especially on a lot of pressured fish or fish that are just kind of being finicky. A lot of times having something that's just moving through the water will really do well. Now, this does have some rattles as well, you can hear, and it's kind of a lower pitch rattle, which I like. I think this is going to be a phenomenal wintertime lure because, it just doesn't have a lot of movement to it. So whenever you're done imparting that twitch, it's just going to go back stationary again, which I actually really kind of have learned to like. So you can see too, I do have these switched out with some single inline hooks and even some split rings. Now I have these on. These are a little bit heavier than what's actually probably recommended for this lure, but I wanted to try it out because I was fishing in some deeper areas that had some current as well. So I wanted the lure to sink a little bit more to kind of get into the strike zone. And honestly, like these heavy hooks, it did not really affect the action you know, any way negative from what I could tell. It worked really good, and you can see I caught a ton of fish on it. And I ended up just using, you know, the same ones that you would get replaced here by MirrOlure. They have a little kit you can buy. So those did pretty good, but, you know, they will sink a little bit more. It's not going to be a true kind of suspending plug, and it's going to sink a little bit faster compared to if you line something up like these owner hooks here. Like these are going to be a little bit closer. Make sure you can see those. These are going to be a little bit closer into the same kind of weight class as the treble hooks that come on this lure. So make sure if you are wanting that, you kind of line it up. And the good thing about these, we sell these at fishstrong.com. You can actually look at the weight. It's right here on the packaging. So that's something to think about as well, depending on the depth that you're fishing at. So let's go over to the footage real quick, and I'll show you kind of how I was working this lure and really what those trout for this day were really liking. It's something that I'm going to continue to use a little bit more, but let's go ahead and get to the footage. Got him. And the head shakes. This is too fun, guys. This is too much fun. Even the little ones are going after it. Even the little guys. Oh man. Wow. Golly, about took the rod out of my hand, guys. These trout are fired up. Oh man, right at the boat. Oh my gosh. That's why I have a loose drag. Man, these guys are fired up. Look at that, another pretty one. Perfect hook set. I'm not even gonna bring him in the boat, guys, but you can see him right here. Gorgeous looking trout. So you'll just unhook him right at the boat. There we go. Adios, buddy. Okay guys, so as you saw there in that footage, really what was the key for that day, or the ticket, was making sure that this lure was just moving. They were not touching it when I would do kind of your standard, you know, twitch pause. They didn't really want anything to do with it. Now they would come up and look at it, and I could even see a few of them, but they were not gonna go after it. But as soon as I made some really good, you know, action to where you'd get that really good wounded bait flash, and just do a slow, steady reel where this thing was just moving through the water, they would hit it almost every time. So it was really cool. You know, even when I wasn't getting a lot of bites from, you know, MR17s or 27s, this outperformed that particular day. So I definitely think it's something you should have in your tackle box, because when fish are just wanting something a little bit different, or they're being difficult, I think this is going to be a phenomenal lure. I also think this is going to be really, really good throughout the winter months. I mean, throwing this on a shallow mud flat, I'll probably go ahead and put these, owner hooks on that are going to be a little bit closer in weight to where this isn't going to sink so much, but I can throw this in some really shallow water. I think this will be a big trout. I mean, redfish I think will eat this up as well around some oyster bars. So definitely take a look at this, guys. I have caught quite a few fish on it recently and have really started to like it. It's actually one of my favorites right now in my tackle box. So take a look at it. And guys, if you have any questions on, how to get the rigging right with these hooks or anything like that, be sure to check it out on saltstrong.com. And again, we have these hooks, these owners at fishstrong.com as well. So if you have any questions or if there's any, techniques and things like that that you guys like to use when using the MirrOminnow specifically, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online fishing club for saltwater anglers, especially if you're targeting redfish, sea trout, snook, or flounder. There's nothing else like it, and we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and money. We do this with our premium education, the exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, hope to see you again soon.